I dress this way? A crazy drag queen, or perhaps you're gay? Is there a point to all these fancy clothes? With all these buckles from your head down to your toes? Very simple, but I'm just another girl. It's not so easy, but I'm giving it a whirl. Is there something that you're trying to prove? With all the makeup and the way you move, are you looking for some sympathy? No, I'm trying to be the best girl I can be. Very simple, but I'm just another girl. It's not so easy, but I'm giving it a whirl. Like my martini's dry, cosmos I won't deny. Smoke those long cigarettes. Thank God I'm not dead yet. Done all these crazy things, short of a wedding ring. Just
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Calista Solon, and you're watching nlcTrans. Tonight I'm here with my dear friend and co-host, Tara Alexander. Anyway, sorry we weren't with you last week. Had a little personal business to take care of last week, so we wound up taking the night off. Sorry. Anyway, so I guess we've got, what, 2 more shows?
Yep.
2 more shows on Tuesday night after this one, right?
Yep. As of July 3rd, we'll be going back to Wednesdays.
Going back to Wednesdays. So, and then from there we'll see what happens in the fall. It's going to be interesting. But anyway, so thanks for joining us, and hopefully when we move, you can follow us to Wednesday nights. But anyway,
that way we'll keep our 14 viewers.
Right. Yes, we tell ourselves that. We absolutely no way of knowing who watches the show other than people telling us they watch the show. There's absolutely no way to track it. So we tell ourselves there are 14. Well, we started with what, 12? I think.
Yeah, 12.
And we're up to 14.
So if you want to, here's what you do. We go onto Facebook and you friend the CT Access Metrocast page, and you post in the comment, "I love nlcTrans."
Yeah,
and then we'll be able to tell how many viewers we have.
Right, then we'll find out that it's only 11, right? I'm sorry. Anyway, so we'll probably have some B-roll for you in a little while.
I'm going to go find that page because it's a very specific syntax.
Okay. While you're doing that,
you go ahead.
We're going to have a little B-roll for you later, and probably some announcements and things, because we usually have some kind of announcements, things that are going on. I know.
Yes, we have announcements.
nlcT is doing some stuff, so we'll probably have announcements there.
Those are the only announcements I have at the moment.
Well, and that's fine. So anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to drink some coffee and probably read to you just a little bit because I like to drink coffee, and
because there's things that need to be talked about.
And there's things that need to be talked about. So anyway, so yeah, I'll put my glasses on because I'm blind as a bat, and so without these, I'm all done. I'm sorry, I have not been drinking. I promise you. Later. Anyway, there was actually quite a few things going on that I probably won't get to all this stuff. I pulled a few stories that looked kind of interesting, and so I will tell you about some of this stuff. This first one is about Russian Parliament, actually. This is sort of unfortunate, but Russian Parliament passed an anti-gay bill apparently today. I believe it was today this happened, the 11th. Russian lawmakers today approved anti-gay legislation that would ban LGBT events or public discussion of LGBT issues that might be accessible to minors. That's from the Washington Post. The so-called gay propaganda bill passed in the State Duma, the lower house of Russia's parliament, by a 436-0 vote. 1 member abstained. Imagine that, 436 to 0. That sort of tells you something.
Well, you have to keep in mind, too, while Russia went through glasnost, it's increasingly becoming more and more a single-party system.
Yeah. Individuals who break the law by holding LGBT pride events or providing information to minors about the LGBT community would face fines of up to 5,000 rubles.
So that's
$156. With foreigners facing a jail sentence of 15 days and deportation. Companies and media organizations could be fined up to 1 million rubles, $31,000, and would face suspension of their activities for up to 90 days. Though the measure still needs to be approved by Parliament's upper house and signed into law by President Putin, it is expected to pass easily. This is a very sad day for the Russian LGBTI community and for Russian democracy. I'm not sure what the I is in
intersex.
that. Intersex, okay.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender,
Well, I was
queer, and
thinking,
intersex.
with the Russians, it's sort of like, I'm thinking, okay, in their language, I'm not sure what that is, but obviously LGBT is
LGBTQI is not uncommon.
yeah, intersex. Yeah, that makes sense. Today, the Russian parliament cemented its homophobic law at the federal level. Martin Christensen, co-chair of ILGA Europe's executive board, said in a press release, despite strong condemnation by virtually all international and European institutions and human rights organizations, Russian lawmakers have chosen to disregard their international human rights commitments and to ignore their own constitution. Today, the Russian Duma demonstrated that homophobia is an official state policy. Shortly before the bill was passed, over 24 protesters were attacked by a group of anti-gay activists and then detained by police. The scene mirrored events from earlier this year. In January, Orthodox Christian protesters threw objects LGBT rights advocates who were LGBT rights advocates who were protesting the State Duma's preliminary approval of the bill. Nonetheless, when police intervenes, most of the roughly 20 demonstrators they detained were from the LGBT group. That's interesting. Throw rocks at us and we'll get arrested for it, right?
Hey, it worked here.
Anyway, so that's sort of unfortunate. That's sort of a backward step for Russian Parliament. But it won't last. It will not last. It's a battle that, and I know battle is probably not the right word, but it's a fight that we will win eventually. The fight for equality. It's going to take time. It always does. But we will. The fight for equality, and and in various areas of life, will certainly win out in the end. This was an interesting thing that I'm just going to share with you because I found this and it sort of speaks to that exactly. A majority of Catholics and mainline Protestants support marriage, and they're referring to same-sex marriage. Though the number of religiously unaffiliated people who support marriage equality is at an all-time high, percentages of white Protestants and Catholics who are supportive are also on the rise. A third of the people who participated in the Pew Forum on religion, I like that, on religion and public life said their minds changed on marriage equality because someone they knew, either family, friend, or another acquaintance came out to them as LGBT. Equal percentages of people, 18%, said they now support marriage equality because it's either inevitable and the world is changing, or because they think the government should no longer dictate marriage on a personal level. Only 13% of white evangelicals supported marriage equality in 2001, while only 23% support marriage rights. For same-sex couples, 12 years later, the increase has come mainly in the last 4 years. Figures among black Protestants has remained essentially the same, with 30% supporting marriage in 2001, a steep drop in 2004, and then 32% supporting marriage equality now. Meanwhile, Catholics and mainline Protestants have shown steady increases in their support for marriage equality since 2009. Among Catholics, 54% support marriage equality, up from 40% in 2001. 55% of mainline Protestants support marriage equality, up from 38% in 2001. Overall, 56% of Americans said extending marriage rights to same-sex couples would go against their religious beliefs, though that percentage has even dropped 6 points since 2003. So, kind of interesting. So the numbers are increasing. You know, support is growing, states are falling. I mean, not falling, but states are sooner or later, you know, more and more states will recognize marriage equality, and eventually, hopefully, everyone will, and hopefully, eventually, we will have equal rights on a federal level as well. But anyway. So that is what's going on with marriage equality and religion. And
only 90% of 90% of Americans think that we already have equal protection under the law at the federal level when it comes to employment.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, I know. People, and it's funny because, you know, we saw the same thing, you know, on a state level even, when we were fighting for House Bill 6599. I had people say that to me. I said, oh my God, you know, I thought we already had this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we don't. You know, we don't have these rights. We don't have these protections. And so yeah, it speaks to the whole, how backwards it is, because people think, oh my God, in this day and age, we should all be protected, and guess what? We're not.
Sometimes you're not.
And so it can come as a kind of surprise to people sometimes. Which
I think, is it only 16 states out of the 50 that actually do protect both gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people from employment discrimination?
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure the exact number, but it's a rather pitiful percentage.
I think it was 32%, and that should be 16 states.
Yeah, it's not enough.
16 states, and so that means that the other 4 to 34 states and the federal government and the districts don't.
Yeah.
Actually, the District of Columbia, I think, does.
Yes, I believe that's true.
But isn't that funny? The District of Columbia does, but the federal government doesn't, and the federal government oversees the politics and
Yeah. But, you know, we'll keep up the fight.
It's okay for the District of Columbia, but not for the country.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping for ENDA at some point.
An inclusive ENDA being the Employment Non-Discrimination Act.
That's one of the things that's on our Christmas list.
That and DOMA. Section 3 of DOMA.
So
sooner or later, the Supreme Court will actually have to tell us what they decided months ago.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got a bunch of little stories here, and I know you're looking for stuff there on your phone. I'm not sure exactly what, but I want to share this with you just because I thought this was really cute. This is a short. I thought this was really, really cute, and well, it's good, but I liked it because it's about Prince Harry, and Prince Harry is cute.
Oh, and the rock star.
And well, he's adorable, and
he may not be available much longer.
Yeah, well, I wasn't holding out hope anyway. He's a little young for me, but he's cute anyway. But this was a story
His dad's available.
Yeah. No thanks. I'm sorry.
Well, why aren't you picking on both sides of the spectrum?
No. Anyway, I'm going to read this. But anyway, so yeah, this was about Prince Harry. This was just a little story from the Advocate. This was gay British. This is a gay British corporal. Gay British Lance Corporal James Wharton said his fellow soldier, Prince Harry, came to his defense when 6 other soldiers verbally harassed him and threatened to beat him. Wharton went to Harry, who was his tank commander, to report the 2008 incident. Harry confronted the other soldiers and then reported the incident to a senior officer. I told him, I think I'm going to be murdered by the infantry. I climbed into the turret and talked Harry through exactly what had happened, Wharton wrote. He had a complete look of bewilderment on his face. I couldn't stop the tears from welling up in my eyes. He said, right, I'm going to sort this shit out. Sorry, that's his words. Once and for all. He climbed,
in which case it's shite.
Yeah. He climbed out of the tank, and I poked my head out of the turret a few moments later to see him having a go. Wharton's new book, Out in the Army, chronicles his life in the military as well as details of his camaraderie with Prince Harry. So I thought that was nice. Prince Harry came to the rescue of a gay soldier who was being gay bashed, apparently. So good for him, and he's cute. So, and he's got a uniform. You know, come on, guys in uniforms.
And fortunately,
He's in the ground troops,
Yeah.
so you don't have to swim after the ship.
Yes. I do not swim after troop ships. That's an exaggeration. But guys in uniform are cute. You know, I don't know. I'm not the only one that thinks that. Guys in uniform, you know, bad boys and guys in uniform. I don't know what it is. Something about that. But anyway, some of the things going on, and we will have some B-roll in a bit, and so we'll have to get to that. Something crazy stuff's going on in New York, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on. It's kind of scary, but hate crimes on the rise in the Bronx and Queens. Days after New York's gay community rallied against the recent spate of violence across the city, local police say the number of anti-gay hate crimes have doubled from 14 to 29 so far this year. Acts of violence and verbal assault are on the rise, particularly in Queens and the Bronx, according to the New York City Anti-Violence Project. For example, WNYC reports that the workers and patrons of Lucha Sports Club, a gay Latino club in Queens, are often the target of harassment late at night. Meanwhile, one of the latest targets of an anti-gay hate crime in New York was activist Eugene Lewandowski of Queens, who was attacked in Manhattan alongside his boyfriend. Anyway, it's crazy. I've been hearing this a lot. There's crazy stuff going on in New York for some reason. But anyway, it's unfortunate. Hopefully that will stop. But I did have one other thing that I was going to share with you. Well, actually, I had a couple other things. This one's very long, but this one I might save for another night. It's about sexual violence in the military. But anyway, there was one piece here I wanted to share, just while I'm on that topic.
Losing your mic.
Well, I was going to pull my dress off here. I think
That would get us ratings.
Yes, I think I was stepping on my mic cord here, and I felt something tugging on me. Sorry.
It could have been the ghost.
Trying to keep this a family show. Yes, we were talking earlier about ghosts kicking chairs out from under me.
I was talking about Ghost Sasquatch at work.
Were you?
Yeah.
We could do a whole show on ghosts. We really could.
Or Sasquatch.
Or on Sasquatch. But you know, I know that certainly. I used to live in Ghost Central, and well, I actually, truthfully, almost my whole life I've lived in Ghost Central. I think.
No, it was more like 42nd Ghost Street.
Was it? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this one I was going to read to you real quick. Most Americans now believe same-sex marriage is inevitable. I sort of could have told you that, but I'm not surprised by this. As LGBT Americans await the U.S. Supreme Court's rulings on the Defense of Marriage Act and Proposition 8, nearly 3/4 of Americans, 72%, believe the legalization of same-sex marriage is inevitable, according to a new poll released by the Pew Research Center again. This includes the opinions of both 85% of supporters and 59% of those who oppose marriage equality. The national survey was conducted May 1 to 5 among 1,504 people and found for the first time in the history of Pew Research polling that over half of Americans, 51%, believe same-sex marriage should be legal. However, Pew researchers note that the issue is still a divisive one. Some 42% of those polled said they oppose marriage equality, and 45% believe homosexual acts are sinful, while an equal number does not. Nevertheless, the new poll highlights a positive shift in public attitudes towards LGBT people over the past decade in several areas, including the fact that 60% of Americans now say homosexuality should be accepted rather than condemned, as compared to 31% in a 2003 poll. That's basically doubled since 2003. So anyway, pretty much everybody's accepted it, so let's just get it over with and do it. Yeah, it's inevitable, right? So, and it is. I believe it is too. So let's just stop messing around, do it. But anyway, I believe we have some announcement about.
Yeah, there's a couple things here.
About Connecticut, anyway.
To follow up on it, if you go to facebook.com/MetrocastAccessCT, there's a bunch of Metrocast sites. The one for cable access here is MetrocastAccessCT.
Okay.
And I suggest you go and you post your favorite show, whether it's us or not.
Yeah.
Everyone that's watching should go and post your favorite show.
That's a good idea.
This is how you can interact with the cable access community and the et cetera. So that's one thing. But as far as yes, so we told you 2 weeks ago that OutCT is officially a thing now.
Yeah.
OutCT is the organization that's formed to bring a New London Pride. They've got a bunch of activities / fundraisers planned throughout the year. And the first one is Friday.
Cool.
Friday is going to be their Friday, June 14th is going to be their kickoff meeting, or not meeting, but their kickoff party. The sort of baptism, christening, graduation, all wrapped up in one. It's going to be at Frank's Place from 4 until 2 a.m., closing whenever, which, if you're not from the area, is 9 Tilley Street, right on the corner of Bank. They're going to have hamburgers and hot dogs and a 50-50 raffle, happy hour drink specials from 4 to 6. They have live entertainment almost all night long, with a bunch of performers coming in and such, and I'll actually pull up that to get you more information. But and then on June 30th, at Dev's on Bank, which is a restaurant, they'll have 2 seatings, 11 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. There's a drag brunch. You have to call them and get reservations for one of the 2 seatings. They're going to do a drag brunch on every 5th Sunday. So I believe every month that has 5 Sundays, the 5th Sunday will be a drag brunch at Dev's on Bank. And then the big thing that they're planning right now is for August 11th at Ocean Beach Park is the family outing. This is a LGBTQIA friendly event. The event parking is the event is free, but parking at Ocean Beach is $20, I believe. They'll be doing a whole bunch of events that day as well, having vendors on the boardwalk. They're going to have the pavilion reserved. They've got lots of events. I'm not going to go through them all. They're also doing a barbecue, not barbecue, but a cookout buffet. So it's $25 per person for the meal tickets, and that'll include your $20 parking pass. or $60 for a family, 2 adults and 2 children under 18. You will need to purchase your tickets in advance. Those tickets will get you into park for free.
Right.
And they're going to have, your tickets will be available online later this summer. OutCT's website is outct.org. They have a bunch more detailed information if you're interested in finding out the people that are performing. This Friday, they have a couple of singers, and they have a drag show, and Shoreline Roller Derby will be there in case you're a roller derby fan. They have a burlesque show planned. So all kinds of fun things going on Frank's Place this Friday night. So you could also meet the people who are trying to plan Pride.
Yeah, so be there.
Trying to plan New London Pride.
Yeah, cool. So that should be fun. Anyway, what else is going on? Is that it?
That's my announcements. We've got 17 and a half minutes B-roll.
Okay.
So we probably go to that in just a sec. There's a couple of segments. There's because it was really cute when we were watching it, there's a TED Talk featuring 3 virtuoso teens.
Yeah, it's cute.
11, let's see, this was from last year, so now they'd be 11, 15, and 16.
And they're playing bluegrass.
And they're playing bluegrass like there's like nobody's business.
Which is, it's really kind of cute.
And then there's a little 5-minute segment on internet security and your digital life. And then, and I don't know if you probably didn't see this one, there's a segment from the show that we've featured before. What would you do? Something like that, where they set up these situations and secretly film people's reactions. And this one was about a male to female trans person, the beginning of her transition, going to a dress shop to buy a prom dress.
Wow.
With a supportive mother and an unsupportive father. And how do the people in the dress shop respond?
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see you in 17 and a half or so.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going to play you 2 songs, and we're 3 brothers from New Jersey. And the funny thing is that, believe it or not, we are hooked on bluegrass, and we're excited to play it for you tonight.
Thank you. I'm Robin Mazzone. I'm 13 and I play the fiddle. This is my brother Johnny. He's 10. He plays the banjo. And on guitar is my 14-year-old brother Tommy. We call ourselves the Sleepy Man Banjo Boys.
All right, so let's take 4 subjects that obviously go together. Big data, tattoos, immortality, and the Greeks, right? And the issue about tattoos is that without a word, tattoos really do shout. So you don't have to say a lot. And tattoos tell you a lot of stories. If I can ask an indiscreet question, how many of you have tattoos? A few, but not most. What happens if Facebook, Google, Twitter, LinkedIn, cell phones, GPS, Foursquare, Yelp, Travel Advisor, all these things you deal with every day turn out to be electronic tattoos? And what if they provide as much information about who and what you are as any tattoo ever would? What's ended up happening over the past few decades is the kind of coverage that you had as a head of state or as a great celebrity is now being applied to you every day by all these people who are tweeting, blogging, following you, watching your credit scores, and what you do to yourself. And electronic tattoos also shout. And as you're thinking of the consequences of that, it's getting really hard to hide from this stuff, among other things, because it's not just the electronic tattoos, it's facial recognition that's getting really good. So you can take a picture with an iPhone and get all the names. Although, again, sometimes it does make mistakes. But that means you can take a typical bar scene like this, take a picture, say, of this guy right here, get the name, and download all the records before you utter a word or speak to somebody, because everybody turns out to be absolutely plastered by electronic tattoos. And so there's companies like Face.com that now have about 18 billion faces online. Here's what happened to this company. There are other companies that will place a camera like this. This has nothing to do with Facebook. They take your picture, they tie it to the social media, they figure out you really like to wear black dresses. So maybe the person in the store comes up and says, hey, we've got 5 black dresses that would just look great on you. So what if Andy was wrong? Here's Andy's theory. What if we flip this? What if you're only going to be anonymous for 15 minutes? Well, then, because of electronic tattoos, maybe all of you and all of us are very close to immortality. Because these tattoos will live far longer than our bodies will. And if that's true, then what we want to do is we want to go through 4 lessons from the Greeks and 1 lesson from Latin American. Why the Greeks? Well, the Greeks thought about what happens when gods and humans and immortality mix for a long time. So lesson number 1, Sisyphus. Remember, did a horrible thing, condemned for all time to roll this rock up, it would roll back down, roll back up, roll back down. It's a little like your reputation. Once you get that electronic tattoo, you're going to be rolling up and down for a long time. So as you go through this stuff, just be careful what you post. Myth number 2, Orpheus. Wonderful guy, charming to be around, great partier, great singer, loses his beloved, charms his way into the underworld, only person to charm his way into the underworld, charms the gods of the underworld, they release his beauty on the condition he never look at her until they're out. So he's walking out and walking out and walking out, and he just can't resist. He looks at her, loses her forever. With all this data out here, it might be a good idea not to look too far into the past of those you love. Lesson number 3, Atalanta. Greatest runner. She would challenge anybody. If you won, she would marry you. If you lost, you died. How did Hippomenes beat her? Well, he had all these wonderful little golden apples, and she'd run ahead and he'd roll a little golden apple. She'd run ahead, he'd roll a little golden apple. She kept getting distracted. He eventually won the race. Just remember the purpose is all these little golden apples come and reach you, and you want to post about them or tweet about them or send a late-night message. And then, of course, there's Narcissus. Nobody here would ever be accused or be familiar with Narcissus. But as you're thinking about Narcissus, just don't fall in love with your own reflection. Last, a lesson from a Latin American. This is the great poet Jorge Luis Borges. When he was threatened by the thugs of the Argentine military junta, he came back and said, oh, come on, how else can you threaten other than with death? The interesting thing, the original thing, would be to threaten somebody with immortality. And that, of course, is what we are all now threatened with today because of electronic tattoos. Thank you.
The show Glee tackles some tough issues facing young Americans, including gender identity.
I want to go on stage wearing a dress and heels, because that's who I feel like I am inside.
Unique.
Yes. What would you do?
Wait a minute, that's my line. The truth is, the stories are all too real.
A South Florida transgender teenager is being called a trailblazer.
The ACLU is threatening legal action after it barred a transgender student from attending prom.
Meet our cast. Erez is an actor portraying Lisa, and Tracy is her supportive mother. Born a male, Lisa is at the beginning stages of transitioning to a female, and prom is her platform to come out. We're at Coco Chateau in Wayne, New Jersey, in the midst of prom season. We had our own ensemble of cameras and settle in to see if anyone will say yes to the dress.
What about something like that?
Beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I just want something with sleeves. Do you think the purple is good? It's my first one. I like that there are sleeves because I don't want to show my arms yet.
It like pops out, you know?
It's bright. Yeah.
No purple.
Like a pink or like a yellow.
There you go.
Okay, I'll try the purple one on. Maybe I'll wear it for the pillow. I'm gonna try this on.
Okay,
though.
sure. Let me
I'm gonna try the dress now.
After a quick change, she returns.
I don't know.
Oh, it is?
The women are more than eager to help, but they're about to meet their match.
Hi, I'm Vince. I'm playing the dad today of a transgender child.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh my God.
You gotta be kidding me. What? You're actually doing this. What are you doing?
Why is he here?
Your brother told me, yeah, I can't believe this. That's my son.
Please go away. Dad, I'm your daughter.
No, you're not.
And I'm in transition, so...
Okay, we've already talked about this. You know that? We've already talked about this, okay?
I want to talk to you.
No. Oh, just go and let me just...
Excuse me, miss. Do you have any other options?
Are you okay?
I don't want to talk.
We send Lisa away to try on a different dress, and Vince returns with one last plea.
Everybody in the family agrees this is wrong. Am I crazy? That's not right.
No support here for Vince. Instead, a bit of therapy.
Instead of being rushed or mad about it, have you tried to talk to him like calmly and trying to understand?
Right. Let me talk to you alone, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Lisa returns, and the counseling session continues.
My dad just doesn't understand that this is literally who I am.
Except the fact that he's not going to accept it.
Forever.
Not forever. Obviously, he's going to have to come around. Turn around, look in the mirror, and see what that hurts.
It's just so hard.
She doesn't miss a beat with both fashion advice and motherly guidance. Time to meet this woman.
Hi, I'm John Quinones.
Oh my God!
This is What Would You Do?
Are you serious? No, serious?
Come here, I'm gonna have to chase you down.
Are you kidding me?
We wanted to know, what will people do if they hear this?
God. Oh, so did I pass or fail?
They will tell you that this is who they are.
If you say you're a woman, you're a woman.
We roll again, and now, what will this grandmother say?
I can't even believe this.
I like the color.
There's nothing wrong.
I had one too. Same like your son.
She doesn't want to be identified, but she's an example of today's modern family.
And what do?
Got a cope with it. You can't do anything.
Gay is one thing, but this is another thing.
But not everyone we come across feels it's their place to get involved.
You do this, you're dead to me.
This is her and you have to accept her. So if you don't accept her, then you can leave.
You know what? This is your problem. I don't accept it.
Getting involved, not your place.
No. Not my place. Especially when he told him he's dead to him. I was like, oh, damn. And he started crying. I was like, that's it for me. I'm not getting involved.
So far, we've only heard from adults shopping. But what will happen when Lisa's dilemma speaks to someone more her age?
What are you doing?
Stop. What are you doing here?
But my son is not getting a dress.
That's not your son. It's your daughter.
That's my
I need you to
son.
support her.
That is my son.
She's in transition. You need to support her. Leave her alone.
Clearly, he's listening. But what is he thinking? We send Lisa to the dressing room and bring Vince back for a talk, man to man.
Is it me?
I don't want to get in between it, but I mean, it's a guy thing. I know where you're coming from.
Thank you. Because I mean, you know, thought it was me for a minute.
I can't imagine what you're going through, but...
Well, what if kids start making fun of him?
You're only trying to help him in the long run.
Yeah. I can't talk to him.
He seems to agree with Vince. But what will he say to Lisa?
Can't deal with him anymore.
Just do what makes you happy. It's up to you, though. I have no say in your life, you know?
It's just that I have to. It's not a choice, you know? I need to. It's who I am.
That's your answer right there.
A short and sweet answer to a pretty complicated situation. Time to meet this soft-spoken and compassionate young man.
Hi, I'm John Quinones with the TV show What Would You Do? He's an actor.
No way. I see this all over TV. I never expected to meet me. That's kind of crazy. I'm just coming dress shopping with my girlfriend.
It put you in a difficult position. You didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
right?
honestly, I didn't. I was kind of caught by surprise.
You wanted to comfort both.
Yeah, I did. But that's just who I am, I guess.
If this was real, she would consider herself a sheep. What would you tell her?
I would tell her to go to prom in a dress.
What does that tell you about you? What's he like?
A good kid. He speaks up.
What do you think of the dress?
I like the color of this one, but I like the design on the other one better.
Oh, now you're a fashion stylist,
hey, I speak up.
He speaks up, like so many others here today, young and old, about things that matter.
Well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, it's kind of interesting, those kind of things, and I think it sort of speaks to how things have changed a little bit too. Certainly, I think there's a lot more acceptance than there used to be, which is a good thing. But you can never tell what you're going to get.
No, that's true. So it's a bit of, I mean, obviously it's a setup, but even from sort of having been there, it's a bit of a setup, because showing up to prom is not the way to come out.
No, I know. You'd have to be really brave to
that's
do that.
An incredible shocker. Yeah, that's probably not the venue you're good. Because, a lot of places have threatened, even with advance notice, to turn people away if they don't find their dress, and I don't mean dress, I mean their attire acceptable for the event.
Yeah.
It's that's a big chance.
Yeah, and yes, clearly there could be problems with that, and we've seen problems just with people. Well, we have somebody that we know that was transitioning in high school and just wanted to graduate with the correct name,
right?
And did, and eventually did, but just that was difficult. So.
Yeah, and it wasn't showing up on graduation day.
Right.
This was something that had been going on for a couple of years, and the legal name change occurred, like a year before graduation. And it's not. But I mean, otherwise it is, and people don't know what to do when they're in that situation. They're. It's sort of a family thing. But it's also, well, I mean, we had the story a little while back about the little boy that wanted the Princess Sophia movie.
Yeah.
Not because he wanted to be trans, not because he thought he was a girl or anything, just because as a little kid watching Disney, or I guess that's Nickelodeon or something, he liked watching Princess Sophia.
Yeah,
and
it was cute. That was a great story.
And the guy behind him in line goes, well, you don't want to let your son get that. You don't want to grow up like a mommy. You want to grow up like a daddy.
Yeah.
And the father turned on him and says, I want my son to grow up and be whomever he is.
Yeah, the father was great. His responses were wonderful.
But
that was a great story. But anyway, so that's but it is. It's amazing how much more accepting people are, and I've been. It sort of renews your faith in people, and renews my faith in mankind, and how kind and accepting people really are, for the most part. There are some people out there that aren't, and there are always going to be people that will want to drag you behind a pickup truck or something, but people by and large are generally very accepting and very kind, and that's a really good thing, and I think that has improved. Anyway, so yeah, it was a cute story, and I love the kids in the playing bluegrass. They were so good and so young, and that was just so wonderful. And I love. I almost hate to admit this, but I love banjo. I think banjo is a wonderful instrument, and.
Do you think it goes well with cello?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know that it would, but I always loved the banjo, and honestly, I sort of I'm not a huge fan, but I do kind of like bluegrass, and bluegrass is it's very, very Americana. It really is. It's sort of uniquely American, and I kind of like it, and it's not everybody's taste, but it's nice, and that was really great. These kids are wonderful. I always love to see the young ones like that. They just amaze me.
Well, and really the sort of heart and soul of it I put in the middle was the whole notion that just one more reminder, as somebody who works in IT security,
one more reminder that you can never undelete something from the internet.
Yeah, you know, that's scary.
So, and there's enough,
There's so much stuff out there about you without you ever sharing anything.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about that. We've talked, you know, about the face recognition thing. I know you've talked a lot about that. It's like, it's scary. It's amazing. It's truly amazing, but it's scary.
I did want to. There was something I did want to cover, and we're going to have just a minute left.
Yeah. Okay.
There was a survey taken by forget the school. It was UCLA. I forget what part of UCLA. And they found of the respondents who identified as gay, lesbian, bisexual, 47% of them identified as bi. Only 44 identified as gay or lesbian.
Wow.
So, hearkening back to our friend Ron Suresha and some of the stuff that he's written about and talked about from years ago.
Yeah.
The,
bisexual erasure.
Bisexual erasure. The fact that you only ever see people in in a relationship with one other person. So, this is a lesbian relationship, but we're both bi.
Right.
Out in public, nobody knows you're bi. They just see you with another woman. So there's a perception of gay and lesbian and this bisexual thing that Twitter's on the edge. But in reality, the majority of people who identify as bisexual.
Wow.
By a slight margin.
Yeah, that's amazing. I sort of wouldn't have guessed that, but that's interesting. But yeah, it's
well, and then interestingly, you're going to turn around and there's going to be 9% that fall into other.
Yeah. There's always other.
But
yeah. Very cool.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah,
that's going to be about it for us.
We are out of time, so on that note, we are going to leave you. And thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.